Alright, so in this video, I'm going to be talking about how one man changed the course of politics by sending out pictures of his bulge. And it's just perfect that his last name is Wiener. I mean, you can't make this stuff up. And not only did he destroy his own career, but he's also a big reason why Donald Trump beat Hillary Clinton in 2016.
We never thought we were going to say thank you to Anthony Wiener.
Yeah, so heading up to that election, Anthony Wiener had one job, and it was to get his wiener under control, and he just could not do it. It's like this man was cursed with that last name. So if you're not familiar with him at all, he was a congressman that was starting to become really popular in the late 2000s, and he was gaining a lot of support. Howard Stern was a big fan of his. He used to call into his show, and a lot of left-wing commentators liked him because he was really passionate and would get really fired up while he was in Congress. Like this clip of him went viral in 2010 where he's giving a speech about 9/11 first responders, and he went off on Republicans, so this caught a lot of people's attention.
And then we stand up and say, oh, if only we had a different process, we'd vote yes. You vote yes if you believe yes. You vote in favor of something if you believe it's the right thing. If you believe it's the wrong thing, you vote no. We are following a procedure. I will not yield to the gentleman, and the gentleman will observe regular order. The gentleman will observe regular order. Gentleman thinks that if he gets up and yells on it, if he's going to intimidate people into believing he's right, he is wrong. The gentleman is wrong. The gentleman is providing cover for his colleagues rather than doing the right thing. It's Republicans wrapping their arms around Republicans rather than doing the right thing on behalf of the heroes. It is a shame. A shame. If you believe this is a bad idea to provide health care, then vote no. But don't give me the cowardly view that, oh, if it was a different procedure, the gentleman will observe regular order and sit down. I will not.
So with social media and people sharing these kinds of speeches he would give, it looked like he was starting to become one of the faces of the Democratic Party. And also his wife, Huma Abedin, has her own career in politics as well. She's really close with the Clintons. And Hillary says she considers her like a second daughter. And Huma went on to be the vice chair of Hillary's 2016 presidential campaign. And also Bill Clinton officiated their wedding. You know, I'm sure him and Anthony get along really well. So, you know, it looked like Anthony and his wife were on their way to becoming like a power couple for the Democrats, similar to the Clintons. You know, they probably thought they're going to be the next Clintons because not only are Hillary and Huma close friends, but they're married to two of the biggest horn dogs in politics, and they both had to deal with similar scandals, which started to arise for Huma and Anthony in May of 2011 when Anthony accidentally tweeted out this picture of his bulge and tagged some random girl in it. And at first, of course, he did the classic, like, oh, my account was hacked. Somebody's trying to play a prank on me, you know, because my name is Wiener. But also at the same time, he wasn't denying that it was his picture. You know, he was doing the politician move where he just tries to avoid the question.
The answer is I did not send that tweet. My system was hacked. I was pranked. It was a fairly common one. People make fun of my name all the time. When you name Wiener, you kind of get that. I've asked a firm to take a look at this. They're hiring an internet security operation. We want to make sure that it doesn't happen again.
Tell me definitively, is that a photograph of you?
We're trying to find out where that photograph came from and whether it was manipulated, whether part of it might be from something that was in my account.
This is kind of strange. You can't tell me definitively that is a photo of you or it is not a photo of you?
Look, here's what I'm reluctant to say to you definitively anything about this. At a certain point,
but I got to say, it sounds strange. I mean, if somebody had a picture of me, my underwear, I think I would know it was a photograph of me.
What if it was a picture of you that was manipulated? That wasn't a picture of you or was taken from your account or put into your...
So pretty much anybody who understood social media realized it was pretty obvious what was going on here. He was trying to DM it to somebody and he accidentally tweeted it out and just tagged them in the picture. And somebody who called him out on it right away was Donald Trump.
I found Anthony Weinergate to be a terrible situation. He obviously knows it's him, and the way he's handled it is either lying or incompetent, and either one is unacceptable. So he's either incompetent or he's lying. Now, it was him because otherwise he would have said that wasn't me. And, you know, he's almost trying to say, well, I don't know it's me. Now, who would not know that's him? Who would not know a picture in that rather terrible position was or wasn't taken? I mean, you know those things.
So then like a week later, he did admit it was his picture and he tweeted it out. So he did a press conference where he apologized to his family and his wife and the media and Andrew Breitbart because he's the one that broke the story originally.
I'm here primarily to express my apologies to my wife and family, but anyone who was misled, all of you who were misled, people who I lied to, I have an apology for all of them.
But not specifically for him?
I apologize to Andrew Breitbart. I apologize to the many other members of the media that I misled. I apologize first and foremost to my wife and to my family.
So a lot of people are calling for him to resign from Congress after that, but it looked like he was trying to stick it out, which didn't last very long because just a month later, TMZ published an article that contained more pictures of him showing off his bulge while he was in the congressional gym. So after that, he had to resign. And the press conference was hilarious. Like, somebody yells out, "Goodbye, pervert," right when he resigns. And then after that, you can hear Benji Bronk from the Howard Stern show yelling out random questions, and everyone gets pissed off at him. It was just a mess.
So today I'm announcing my resignation from Congress. So my colleagues can get back to work. My neighbors can choose a new representative. And most importantly, that my wife and I can continue to heal from the damage I have caused.
He's not with us. Throw him out. He's not with us.
So you'd think after all that Anthony Weiner just went through, he would be like, all right, I'm never going through that again. I'm going to control myself. I'm going to get help and change, which he claimed he was going to do. And also he got really lucky that his wife stuck by him through all this and she defended him and supported him. So he got a good second chance here. And a few years later, he decided to run for mayor of New York City.
I made some big mistakes, and I know I let a lot of people down. But I've also learned some tough lessons. I'm running for mayor because I've been fighting for the middle class and those struggling to make it my entire life. And I hope I get a second chance to work for you. New York City should be the middle class capital of the world, and I've got some ideas on how to do it. 64 of them, right on my website. Take a look. Tell me what you think.
We love this city, and no one will work harder to make it better than Anthony.
I will fight for you every single day. Thank you for watching.
And it seemed like people were willing to give him a second chance. You know, he still had a lot of support. People trusted that he changed. I think a big reason is because his wife stuck with him through it. Because I think a lot of people probably believed if she could forgive him, then they could. So he needed her for this. I don't think he would have been able to do it if she left him. So it was going well for him, actually. He was in first place for a while, and he had a really good shot of actually still becoming mayor of New York City. But then just a few months later, of course, some new messages are published to the website The Dirty between Anthony Weiner, who's going by the alias Carlos Danger, which is probably the most embarrassing thing about all this. And he's talking to some woman who originally didn't have her identity public, but then somebody exposed her. She came forward, and then she tried to turn it into a whole career, which we'll get to here in a second. But obviously at this point, Anthony Weiner was screwed. You know, he already went through all this. He already apologized. People gave him a second chance. They trusted him again. But nothing has changed, and we're right back in the same spot where he's giving a press conference where he's apologizing to everybody. And he's going to continue running for mayor for some reason, even though he has no shot. And also he has his wife up there, and she gives a speech. So he's really trying to make it seem like everything's okay and they're going to work things out, which they do. I mean, she still stays by him. But at this point, I believe Hillary Clinton was trying to convince her to get rid of him because she knew it could possibly affect her campaign when she runs for president in the future. But I'm sure Huma's like, you have no right to talk after everything you went through with Bill and sticking by him. So she decided to stick with Anthony, and they did this press conference where they acted like he was still going to be able to become mayor somehow.
Some of these things happened before my resignation, some of them happened after, but the fact is that that was also the time that my wife and I were working through some things in our marriage. I'm glad these things are behind us. I know that this was a very public thing that we had happen to us. But by no means does it change the fundamentals of my feelings here, and that is that I want to bring my vision to the people of the city of New York. I hope they're willing to still continue to give me a second chance, and I hope they realize that in many ways what happened today was something that frankly had happened before, but it doesn't represent all that much.
When we faced this publicly 2 years ago, it was the beginning of a time in our marriage that was very difficult, and it took us a very long time to get through it. Our marriage, like many others, has had its ups and its downs. It was not an easy choice in any way, but I made the decision that it was worth staying in this marriage. That was a decision I made for me, for our son, and for our family.
And I like how Anthony says, I hope that people can continue giving me a second chance. It's like, dude, you're on your 4th chance at this point. I think your time's up. And what made things even worse is the fact that the girl he was talking to, Sydney Leathers, did a whole press tour after this. And she did all these interviews and went on Sean Hannity and The Stern Show and exposed all the dirt she had on him. And one of the funniest things is she said she originally reached out to him to tell him she was disappointed in him with all the previous scandals.
The guy never met you face to face.
No, he never met me.
I've had more contact with you already. You had to say to yourself, this guy is one sick puppy, right?
Oh, totally. Especially after the first scandal had already happened.
You write to him, you say, you know what, Representative Wiener, I am really disappointed in you. And you don't hear back.
No, not for about a year, actually. And then he had messaged me saying, you know, I'm really sorry I let you down. And I was like, is he really this dumb? Like, really?
Did you know right away he was flirting with you, or did it take some time before the flirting began?
It didn't take long at all.
Right.
Almost immediately. He doesn't really have a good segue. He just goes right into it.
How far in did you start to feel like you might be in love with him?
Well, he said it first. Maybe I thought I was in love with him. In reality, I wasn't. It was just... And the infatuation, the whole situation was really intense.
Did he actually send you pictures of his naked penis?
He sure did.
He did. Is it large?
Actually, yeah, it is. I mean, he's well endowed. I think I was like flattered that he trusted me enough to send that in the moment, and also just completely baffled that someone so book smart could be so stupid in life.
How long did the phone sex last? I mean, would it be a 30-second deal, or?
I mean, it varied, but it definitely did not take him long to.
Did you ever say, would he ever bring up Huma?
No, not really.
Because that'll get his erection down real quick.
Exactly.
He's on the phone with you, off.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Does he out? Like, is he like,
oh! Yes, he was always like, oh, yeah, thank you, baby.
When you saw the name Carlos Danger, were you just sickened by that?
I actually thought it was so funny. Even now, I can't even handle it. It's the dumbest thing ever.
Why?
He was like a needy girlfriend or something. He's like this clingy person. And then he didn't want to own up to it. What pissed me off was him on the campaign trail saying, oh, I've changed, and trying to act like he has this perfect marriage now and everything's just peachy.
The hypocrisy got to you.
Yeah, I was like, bullshit. I am proof that you have not changed. I think he was nervous to meet me.
Yeah.
I feel like he would have just immediately. Okay, how are you going to be mayor of New York City if you're like 5 times a day?
So you would have phone sex with him, and how often would he call you?
The most he ever called me was about 5 times in a day, which is a lot.
4 phone sex?
Yeah.
48 years old, married. What are you thinking?
I mean, obviously, he is maybe not getting the attention he needs at home.
Did he ever talk about that?
Not really. It just was very obvious.
Yeah. Did you find it creepy, like he's a creepy old man?
Yeah, he actually described himself to me as an argumentative, perpetually horny, middle-aged man in the beginning.
Yeah, so she is really trying to capitalize off of all this, and she also starred in her own adult film, Wiener and Me. I mean, you can't make this shit up, so he picked the wrong person to message. I mean, this just made things so much worse, but he wanted to continue his campaign for mayor for some reason, even though it sounded like the Clintons did not want that happening.
Fueling more speculation that she will run in 2016, but there was another image today that could complicate a Clinton run. This one, Anthony Weiner, married to one of Clinton's top aides, refusing to back out of his run for New York mayor despite a new sexting scandal.
Aides and advisors say they're eager to see Weiner exit the race before damage is done to a possible Clinton run for the presidency, reminding voters of the Clintons' own sex scandal, with Hillary Clinton standing by her man.
I'm sitting here because I love him and I respect him.
Much as Weiner's wife has done.
I love him. I have forgiven him.
But Wiener didn't want to listen, and he continued to run for mayor, even though he ended up losing, obviously. I think he came in 5th. But if you want to see everything that was going on behind the scenes, there's a good documentary about it. They were documenting his whole run for mayor, because I think they thought it was going to be like a redemption story where he comes back from his original scandal and becomes mayor of New York City. But while they're filming, the other scandal broke. So instead of this redemption story, they're really just documenting his implosion, basically. But I think the documentary only shows up until the end of his race for mayor. But a lot happened since then. Things got a lot worse for him and his wife and the Clintons, because this ended up turning into exactly what they're afraid of, and why they wanted Huma to leave Anthony, and why they wanted him to end his race for mayor. Because Hillary being associated with Anthony is obviously a bad look for her, and Donald Trump knew that. So in late 2015, when he was campaigning and doing his rallies, he would mention Huma and Anthony Weiner, because it's obviously a good way to attack Hillary, you know, to remind people that she's part of that mess, and to remind people of what she went through with Bill. And also, I'm sure Trump was thinking, there's a good chance another scandal happens with Anthony Weiner. You know, I'm sure this isn't the end of it. The guy's completely out of control. And like I played earlier in the video, Trump recognized this very early on. So this was a smart move from him, and of course it was hilarious when he was roasting Anthony Weiner.
Who is Uma married to? One of the great sleazebags of our time. Anthony Weiner. Did you know that? She's married to Anthony Weiner. You know, the little bing, 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 bum, bum. I love you very much. So, now think of it. So Uma is getting classified secrets. She's married to Anthony Weiner, who's a perv. No, he is. He is. So she's married. Now, these are confidential documents. She's married to this guy who's... And guess what happens to Anthony Weiner? A month ago, I see he went to work for a public relations firm. Do you believe it? So she's married to a bad guy. I know Anthony Weiner for a long time. I knew before they caught him with the bing, 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 right? And he was a bad guy then. It turned out that he was a really bad guy. So she's married to Anthony Weiner. Do you think there's even a 5% chance that she's not telling Anthony Weiner, now of a public relations firm, what the hell is coming across?
So then in late 2016, just months before the election, the stars aligned for Trump and everything came together perfectly, and it turned into the Clintons' worst nightmare. You know, this is exactly what they're worried about with Anthony Weiner. So in August of 2016, New York Post broke this story that Anthony Weiner once again was sending out pictures of his bulge, but this time with his son in the pictures, which is very concerning. And this is when Huma made it public that she's finally deciding to leave him, but at this point it was way too late. And the next month after this, things got so much worse. So right in the crucial moments, like right before the election, Daily Mail broke the story that Anthony Weiner had recently been sexting with a 15-year-old girl, which obviously opened up an investigation into him. And if things weren't bad enough already for Hillary, while they were investigating Anthony Weiner's laptop that he was messaging this girl on, they found hundreds of thousands of emails that Huma was sending back and forth between Hillary. So that turned into a whole news story, because they're thinking about opening up an investigation into that as well, because it relates to the Hillary Clinton private email server controversy, you know, where she was using her private email instead of the official State Department email. And there's a whole investigation into it, and Trump would talk about this a lot. Like, this was a big talking point from him. Like, every rally he would mention it. So the fact that this is getting brought up once again right before the election, and Anthony Weiner's involved in the whole thing, and he's messaging a minor, this could not have worked out any better for Trump.
Pete, we sort of got ahead of ourselves. Have we confirmed the information about where these emails came from?
We're told by a couple of federal officials that the emails we had earlier been told that they were on an electronic device in an unrelated investigation. What we're now told is that that unrelated investigation is an FBI investigation of former Congressman Anthony Weiner of New York. There's been an allegation that he was engaged in some improper texting with an underage girl. The FBI has been looking into that, and we're told that that is where this device surfaced. And in looking at that device, some emails were discovered, and now the FBI wants to look and see whether they have any bearing on the investigation of the Hillary Clinton use of a private email server.
So this was horrible for them. And Trump, he probably figured something was going to happen with Anthony Weiner, but I doubt he thought it would work out this well. This was such a gift from him, it's crazy. So now heading into the election, there's all this talk of the Hillary Clinton email controversy being brought up again, and the Anthony Weiner underage sex thing, and then I'm sure people are thinking about Hillary and Bill, all the controversy they went through, and this was so out of control. Even when Sleepy Joe heard about it, he was like, oh, this is not good.
I'd be remiss if I didn't note that if she had released all the emails from the get-go, we wouldn't be having this conversation.
Well, that's true, but I don't know where these emails came from.
Apparently Anthony Weiner.
Well, oh God, Anthony Weiner. I should not comment on Anthony Weiner. I'm not a big fan, and I wasn't before he got in trouble, so I shouldn't comment on Anthony Weiner.
So of course Trump, he loved this news, and during his rallies, he thanked Anthony Weiner.
We never thought we were going to say thank you to Anthony Weiner. Thank you, Anthony Weiner. And you all saw the statements I made about him a year ago. In New York, we knew Weiner. And I made statements that were rough. Like, how can she be allowed to live with this guy? How can she have access to this important information? And I was badly criticized, right? Now they're saying, oh, Trump has good judgment. Wow. Got good instincts. I have good instincts.
And Hillary said all this just destroyed her momentum, and it's one of the reasons why she lost. And also, Huma wrote about this in her book. She talked about the conversation she had with Anthony when she realized they're probably going to lose.
Before the election. 11 days before the election, and it raised the specter that somehow the investigation was being reopened. It just stopped my momentum.
You called Anthony Weiner and you said what?
Anthony, I said, wanting to shake him through the phone. If she loses this election, it will be because of you and me. That night, I wrote one line in my notebook. I do not know how I am going to survive this. Help me, God. Yeah.
So then Trump got elected, and in May of 2017, Anthony Weiner pled guilty, and he got 21 months in prison. But now he's free, and I think he does like a radio show or something. And he was on Sean Hannity last year at some point, I believe. And Sean asked him if he's changed. And Anthony Weiner just looks and sounds so defeated. He's like, oh, I think so.
You pled guilty. You served jail time. Have you changed? Are you a different person?
Well, I think so. I don't think anyone can go through that kind of experience, and I think this is probably true of people who have been through other types of adversity. I don't think you go through that type of experience and don't emerge changed.
Well, wait, but Anthony, wait a minute.
So
that's
I think it's fairly obvious.
That's an obscure answer. I think so. Either you know in your heart if you changed, or you know in your heart if you didn't change. Can you assure people, because you're going to now try and draw in an audience, and they're going to want to know if you changed or not. Have you changed?
They can judge for themselves.
I'm sorry?
I said they can judge for themselves. I'm not out to persuade you or anyone else.
And then also, I'm sure people saw just recently, he was on Patrick Bet-David's podcast, and it got really heated when he brought up the Clintons' body count.
And first thing I ask myself is, how the hell is our guy here, Anthony Weiner, still alive? What do you mean by that? Well, when you go through the list of people that have been close to Hillary Clinton and the Clintons, and the Deadpool. This is not a conspiracy. You got the names of James McDougal, okay, Clinton's. No.
We're having a conversation.
I'm sorry. I'm the host. You invite me to your podcast. You get to ask the question. I'm the host. I'm going to ask you the question. You haven't let me answer the question.
I didn't see
your reaction is already an answer.
I know. I am infuriated by people who drag other people's name who are powerless. You're not powerless.
Hillary Clinton is powerless?
No, these people.
Hillary Clinton is powerless.
These people.
That's the problem.
These people.
Hillary's the problem.
You read a list of people because you have the power to do it. People who do that are bullies, and I don't appreciate bullies.
I have the power to do what?
You do. To read a list of some stranger's name.
Use the DOJ DOJ and other things to control and hide things?
That's not DOJ.
Yeah.
It's funny he asked, how's Anthony Weiner still alive after being around the Clintons for so long? Because he's probably the best example of proving this theory wrong. You know, if the Clintons were to take out anybody, it would have been him. I mean, this man literally cost them the election. So you would think maybe after the first scandal or the second scandal or the third scandal or the fourth scandal, they would have been like, all right, enough of this. We need to get rid of this man. But I'm sure people would say it's too obvious or something. So I don't know. But the one thing I do know is Anthony Weiner is definitely one of the great sleazebags of our time. So that's about it for this video. Make sure you leave me a comment. Let me know what you think about all this. And make sure you go check out my Patreon account. I posted a video about the Nelk and Andrew Schultz podcast, and I have over like 30 videos on there. I post every week. I have a video about Kramer, you know, Michael Richards, his infamous meltdown at the Laugh Factory. That's one of my most popular videos. And then the downfall of Milo Yiannopoulos, the downfall of Adam 22, the degeneracy of Ari Shaffir, and a bunch of other content. So make sure you go check it out. I'll put a link in the description, and then hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and I'll catch you at the next video.